everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad Gustafson and I share two books that we love and we think you should read. When, Brad?
Right now, Jen. That's how good they are. Right now.
Right now. How are you, my friend? You've been reading while we've been taking a short hiatus?
Things have been incredible. I have an awesome picture book that is more meaningful than probably any picture book that I've shared in a brief spell. But I also wanted to backtrack like a month ago, almost to the day, maybe like 5 weeks ago. We talked about, I was debating rereading this series, but I didn't want to go back in time and reread because there's so many books. So anyway, over winter break, I started rereading, and I didn't count the pages or whatever. Each book ranges from like 500 to 800 pages, I think. And I made it through all 5, and I feel like complete. Like that was the right thing to do. I just feel on top of the world, and was just reminded, I fell in love with reading again. Not that I was out of it. So anyone out there debating, like, should I reread? I'm actually now on the other side of the fence. Like, if you're feeling or wondering it, go for it. Right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm so excited. That makes me so happy.
I feel so good. And I am a little embarrassed that like parts of the book were like I was reading it the first time. That's a little scary or embarrassing, but it was amazing. And then there's another book coming out, I think in July or something. So I'm going to be up to date, and it's all fresh, and I'm ready for it.
Yay. And I would just say, I think, whenever I reread something, I find that there's parts that I don't remember, or I think, oh, wow, I must have skipped over this part or whatever. I think that's something everybody kind of experiences, which is why. And the other thing I would say is that, like, I think sometimes because we all grow and change and experience new things, when you reread something, you see it with an expanded worldview from the last time. So it's like, even if you remember it, you might see it in a new way. So I think that's why rereading a text can be so meaningful.
I'm so glad you said that. I was a little nervous that I should have remembered more details, but it was funny because I had feelings along the way as I'm reading, like, gosh, I think this character there might be more than meets the eye, or I had this almost subconscious memory, if you will, a vague recollection. And sometimes I was right, sometimes I was wrong. So anyway, thanks for indulging that little story. But of course, you're one of the people who you inspire me to dive in and do what I love with reading, and I just had to celebrate that with you. So thank you.
Right back at you, my friend. Well, let's see this picture book, because I'm really excited because I have a picture book to share today too that is like one of the most meaningful picture books I've shared in a long time. So look, it's really exciting. What a big day. Go for it.
It's like picture book Tuesday. So I had the chance, I was on I think Zoom with the author and several other educators. So I have I don't know if it's called inside knowledge, but I got to hear the author's heart for the story and the personal connection. So I think the book is incredible as a standalone, but just having that experience, it's really incredible. So how do I do this? I'm just going to share the book because it's so beautiful, and we have the context. It's Nigel and the moon. And as far as like why I fell in love with this book, actually, the beginning, I think, is super duper unique. So I'm going to read the first probably 2 pages. Nigel and the Moon by Antwan, Eady, illustrations by Gracey, Zhang. At night, there we go. At night, he tells the moon his dreams, and here his dreams are safe. So that kind of sets the stage. And now this is actually his conversation with the moon. Hi, my name's Nigel, and I'm an astronaut, a dancer, a superhero. And basically what Antwan unpacks over the course of the story is the main character carries all these dreams in his heart, and he doesn't feel comfortable sharing them like with human beings. They're just too precious, but he doesn't feel safe doing that. So he opens his heart to the moon, and there's this relationship with the moon that's really deep. But over the course of the story, and I won't give it away, but I got to share just a teeny bit, some really important people in his life help him gain some confidence with regard to his dreams. And they happen to be his mom and his dad. And it's gosh, I don't want to overuse the word transformative. It's really, really, really powerful. So it's not just a good book, and the art isn't just stunning, but this is one of those books I could read many times, and you just feel like it connects and talks to you on a different way. And you'll come. I have reason to believe that you will come to celebrate Nigel and really connect with him and love him. So this is definitely, undisputedly, if that's a word, read this now, must read right now. How's that for positive redundancy?
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I love that book so, so much. And I'm so jealous that you had the opportunity to chat with the author and get a little bit of insight into it. Isn't that just a magical experience when you learn a little bit more? You know, you and I were talking before the break about how this idea that when you write a book and you put it into the world, sometimes it's, in some ways, it's no longer yours. Like it becomes whoever the readers, you know. But when you get to chat with the author and learn what their intent was or what inspired them, I think that's super magical.
So cool. And I will give just a little behind the scenes snippet because I think it's kind of cool. I hope I say this right, but like at one point the author mentioned that each holiday season he would ask his parents for a telescope because that was a passion of his, and then I think maybe like a geology kit or a chemistry kit, something along those lines. And then he went on and told some other stories and stuff, and I was left hanging like, well, did you ever get the telescope? Or like, did you ever get it? Or did you get it every year since you asked for it every year? And actually at the end, he's like, yeah, actually, you know, there are two things I could always count on from my parents. And like almost every year I would get another telescope and that rock kit. So that makes sense. I think in the context of this story, I thought it was kind of relevant and extra meaningful. So.
Oh, neat. I love it. And I love that book so much. I'm so glad you shared it.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear your picture book. Did you say?
Well, for a hot second, I thought we might be doing the same one, which have been like a very rare occurrence here on Read This Now. But I'm glad we're not, because then we get to share two great books, you know. Yeah. But this is a book that I picked up. I decided to read it because I so loved one of the author's previous books. And I don't know if you knew from a few years back, the picture book, The Rabbit Listened, which is a sweet little book, just all about the idea that sometimes when you're hurting, all you need is someone to listen. And in this book, the child has a toy rabbit and the rabbit just listens, and that's enough, right? It's so sweet, so precious. And the illustrations are beautiful. And so when I saw that Cori Doerrfeld I think, was releasing a new book in 2023, I had to pick it up, and it's called Beneath. And I want to show you the beautiful cover first of all, right here, right? And the cover, of course, gives us some clues as to what the book is going to be about. But I'm going to do a Mr. Shoe, and I'm going to take off the dust jacket. And we see that this beautiful book actually has a very different hard case cover. Okay. And this is actually our main character. You can see him on the cover here. His name is Finn. And then we see him on the hard case, two different views. And then we see some people on the back. And I'm not going to mention who those people might be. But then, you know, Mr. Shoe tells us that the second thing we should do is look at the liner notes, the liner pages, rather, the end papers here. I'm calling them liner notes as though they were a CD or something, the end papers. And I don't know if you can see these beautiful quilted squares here that mimic the blanket that we saw Finn under in the beginning, but the end papers here give us more detail there, and they're beautiful. And I thought I would just start by reading the few pages, the first few pages, to give you a clue as to what this book is about. And fair warning, you know, like I'm a big marshmallow, and so it's not all that unusual for books to make me teary, but every single time I read this book, I tear up. I just can't help myself. It's so, so, so gorgeous. So the first page, I'll show you the spread here, reads, Finn was in a horrible mood. Grandpa wanted to talk about it. Finn did not. No, you won't understand. We can see Finn there. I'm going to read the next couple pages. What if we just go for a walk? Grandpa asked. Please? Finn let out a long sigh. Fine, but I'm staying under here. Don't worry, said Grandpa. I'll remember to think of what's beneath. We can see Finn and Grandpa heading out for their work. for their walk. And then this like beautiful thing happens as they're going through their walk through the forest. Grandpa keeps pointing out that underneath things, even though things might look a certain way on the outside, underneath other things might be happening. And I love this spread because can you imagine? I was thinking about you in a principal read aloud. Can you imagine when the kiddos see this in the underneath part right there, what questions and stories they might make up? But even just in general, look at that gorgeous illustration. Isn't that beautiful?
It's awesome.
It really is. And it goes on just like that. Like they see a boat out in the ocean and they talk about how we only see the top part of the boat, but underneath so much can be going on. And then we get on to how sometimes we know what might be happening underneath something. Like here we have a good educated guess, but other times we don't know. Like we see like this fox and we have no idea what the fox might be digging for or what might be underneath there. And then the same happens with people. We see people and we might think we know what's happening inside them, but there could be all other things happening inside. They could look different on the outside, but they share like the same music, or they could in this scene, we don't know what's happening here, but maybe there's a baby growing inside this person, etc. So what happens, the idea that there's something that we can see on the outside and then other things that we can't see on the inside also is true for people, not just with nature. And then this is the part where I start to get really teary right here. Grandpa says, and sometimes, Grandpa paused, beneath someone who looks like they won't understand is someone who knows exactly how you feel. And we can see that both Grandpa and Finn have a broken heart, and we don't know why. We never know. And then it goes on from there, and I won't give any spoilers, but the beautiful book of just recognizing that not everything is as it seems on the surface, that sometimes there's lots of stuff going on underneath. It's called Beneath, and it's Cori Doerrfeld, and I think you should read it right now.
Dang, I'm like almost speechless. Powerful.
So beautiful.
Incredible. Yeah, I will. You know what? These would be a good book. It'd be a good book pairing.
Yes.
Because in many ways, there are things going on beneath with Nigel that he just isn't comfortable revealing. So
right, exactly.
Wow. Jenn, sometimes like when you share Mr. Shoe and like dust jackets, you take me right back to kindergarten, fifth grade, all the grades where I was loving books and still am, and that like the power and importance of connection and relationships, not just with people, but also with the arts and appreciating in the different senses. So if I may indulge for 10 seconds, I forgot to do this and I do want to do it. You made me think of it. So on this one, it's, I didn't do that very well, but it's Nigel just kind of looking at the moon, and that makes me think and wonder as well. So thanks for teaching us to slow down and like soak in all the goodness and the art and the message.
I think sometimes it's an opportunity for us to remind readers, that we're sharing the book with and ourselves, that these creations were created by people, and a lot of times things like the cover or the end papers or even some of the beginning papers where the story isn't there, like that we just rush through, are filled with beautiful little gifts to us, and that the illustrator and the author worked on. And it's a reminder there are people behind these creations and they put their heart into it so that we can take it into our hearts.
To build on that, I did ask during that Zoom call with Antwan, I was curious how much input or collaboration did he have with the illustrator, Gracey, and it wasn't a ton, partly to give her the space for her art and message to come through, but he shared something cool. He said, it feels like books often have 3 stories or messages. There's the words of the author, there's the pictures of the illustrator, and then that how those two intersect or relate, and there's that message or story. And I just thought that is really cool.
I love it. Wow, this has been a great show because I just feel so moved by both the books that we shared and the conversation. Thank you, my friend, for being a
Thank
part of
you.
my reading journey. I really appreciate you.
Back at you. I did write down beneath as like a must buy, like am going to buy. I'm sold on that. That's cool. If you're looking for other titles, Jen and I have had the chance to share. Check out bit.ly/read_this_now, and there's lots of good must read right now resources.
We only share the best, and we'll see
This
you
is
next
true.
week when we share a few others of our favorites. Until then, happy reading, everyone.